reaction now from House GOP leadership. Republican Congressman Doug Collins of Georgia joining us tonight. Congressman, thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
Thank you for your service, sir. A lieutenant colonel in the Air Force, a war veteran. Does it crush you knowing how unfair this could be very soon to service members who have to work and fight without pay potentially while their families scrape by?
Well, I think what's really just disheartening to me is why doesn't Claire McCaskill go back to the Senate floor and tell her minority leader to withhold the votes so that we can get this thing passed and we can fund it. I mean, I think this is an interesting game we're playing here, in which the Senate Democrats have chosen illegal immigrants who we want to see fixed, who the president said that we want to see solved, the DACA problem solved. They have prioritized them over the men and women of the service, and not just our military, but all of our other agencies that do valuable work, from research to finding cures for diseases to everything else that we need. This is a problem all the way around, and yes, it's disheartening. Yes, it's frustrating, but it can be solved right now. I encourage my Democratic friends and Republicans in the Senate, go vote, do your job, get this done.
Yeah, just to be clear, if those paychecks don't come in, the families still have to pay the bills. They still have to go grocery shopping. They still have to, get their families where they need to go while their husbands or wives are off potentially fighting overseas somewhere, and they're not collecting checks as long as this goes on.
Well, I think just as was just previously reported, we've got about another week and a half before the next round of checks are supposed to go out. I think this is going to be solved before then. We're going to make sure that that happens, but we're going to continue to remind the American people of exactly why we're in the position we're in. And as someone who serves in the military, who actually from my previous unit saw the email go out today telling the folks they're going to have to come in and decide what can get done at one of my previous bases, this is a concern that we have all along. But it just should focus very tightly on the issues that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
We've presented a bill that no Democrat has a problem with. We have 6 years of funding for SCHIP. This is the Children's Health Insurance Program. In fact, probably some DACA folks get insurance under this program, but yet most Democrats, 95% of them, voted no on this. So I think it's just, we need to take the rhetoric, I agree, out of this, but let's focus on exactly what could happen and also why it's not happening.
Congressman, some have pointed out that lawmakers still get paid while this is going on, as members of the military may not.
It is. That's a constitutional issue, and I, like myself, and I know many others have said I'm not going to be paid until we get this solved. We've signed that letter and sent it into the Administrative Services Office, and I think this is just highlights the frustrations that many of us feel here. Let's get to the very issue that we got to deal with. That is, this government needs funding. It needs to get back on track. We need to also get a deal in which we can pass a full appropriations bill to the end of September and have an understanding of what the next 2 years for our military spending is going to look like. This is something that I'm afraid is getting lost here. We've got to get to the fact where our military can plan ahead for the terror risks that it faces all across this world. We've got to get to that budget deal. This is something that's also been held hostage to an immigration issue that is not even ripe yet. It doesn't even get to be ripe until March, the middle of March, and we've also had a judge say that we can't go forward. Right now, if a DACA recipient wants to apply, they can go apply right now to stay. These are the issues that we've got to get focused on, and right now there's a minority in the Senate and some mainly in the House as well who would rather play politics with groups that they would rather play favor with instead of dealing with a true issue.
In the meantime, Defense Secretary Jim Mattis says that military maintenance will grind to a halt and that other operations could very well suffer while this goes on. So again, you guys I know are hoping to work this out. Where and how can you find common ground and compromise with Democrats?
Well, I think, if you look at it from a perspective of compromise, the CHIP program, the bill that we had passed, by the way, back in September, this is not new. We had passed this bill, and we had asked for some basically pay-fors that most would have thought would have been common sense, making lottery winners, and most millionaires pay a little bit more. But they chose to say, let's have a clean bill. Well, we've put a 6-year clean CHIP reauthorization on there, fully funding this. That wasn't enough. We put in there to take away, to suspend the Cadillac tax, to do the medical device tax. These are all things Democrats have asked for. These are the kind of things that really make you wonder what their priorities are. So for those who are wanting to vote no right now, who want to keep this government closed and make very sure this is what they're wanting to do, is keep the government closed to inflict pain on those people in our country who are serving our country, who are working these agencies, who do good work, then they need to go back home and explain that to the American people, why they're choosing an issue such as DACA, which has already been promised to be worked on and solved, that most Republicans and Democrats want to see solved. Why are they continuing to hold that hostage? I think the American people are going to see through this. They're already seeing through it.
Well, Nancy Pelosi spoke earlier about the Democratic demands, and she says that they're not political. I want to play that sound and then get your reaction to it.
opioids, veterans, CHIP, pensions, disaster assistance, the list goes on. But it is all bipartisan. We didn't come up with an idea of some progressive agenda of the future that we were saying to them, you should pay for this if you want our vote. We're saying, you agree with this. We need this money. We cannot let, these are emergencies that have to be addressed.
Your reaction to that, sir?
She voted no. So I'm not sure where her priorities are. She votes no. I mean, she can say whatever she wants. She can go spin it however she wants to spin it. This is also a minority leader just the other day who said that the CHIP program was dog-eat-doo. Explain to me why she would be so derogative to those folks who depend on CHIP. Why would she call it that, except she's playing politics with it? She can claim whatever she wants to claim, and if she can go to sleep and put her head on a pillow and feel good about that, good for her. And I can't. We need to open this government.
In the short time we have left, Congressman, quick prediction from you. When is this going to be over?
My hope is tonight. I would love to see the Senate come to an agreement, see this out. They're 1 o'clock, I think, in the morning is when they can bring the next round up, which we've said if they just put a February 8th date on it, send it back to us, that will pass. If that's all they're going to shorten it by a week, fine. But this needs to end tonight. The people need to go back to work tomorrow. We need to get back to doing the business that we're called here to do, and that's my hope. If it doesn't, there's one group to blame, Chuck Schumer. This is his shutdown.
Well, Congressman Doug Collins, we will be watching, and if there is an agreement, obviously you'll hear about it right here. So thanks very much for your time tonight, sir.
Thanks so much. Good to be with you.
You too.